Hello everybody, welcome back to a new video on Jeremy's World. I hope everybody's having a wonderful day, and today I'm going to talk about the Sonic movies, and specifically what the future of the Sonic movies could entail. Cause there's a lot of rumors, of course, and I'm gonna give what I think is going to happen for the future of the movies. And I think the best place to start is the ending of Sonic 3. Now, in the end of Sonic 3, the Eclipse Cannon blew up with Eggman and Shadow. And in the post-credit scene, not only did we see one Metal Sonic, but multiple Metal Sonics. And of course, Amy Rose showed up at the end of the movie, and Shadow was confirmed to be alive. Now, getting that out of the way, Sonic 4 has a release date of March 19th, 2027. That's about 1 year and 2 months as of the time of recording this. What could they adapt for Sonic 4? Now, I think the first obvious choice is CD, because Amy and Metal Sonic both made their first appearance in Sonic CD. Now, I think they are going to adapt some aspects of CD, but not all of it, because I think one of the other games they're going to adapt is Heroes. Like, similar to what they did with Sonic 2, where they took elements of Sonic 2, Tails was introduced, stuff like that, but they also took elements from Sonic 3 and Knuckles, where they introduced Knuckles, they introduced, the Master Emerald, stuff like that. They basically fused those two games into that movie. And I think that's what they're going to do here with Sonic 4. They're going to take CD, and they're going to take Heroes, and kind of fuse them into one movie. Especially because Heroes' main villain is Metal Sonic. Specifically, Neo Metal Sonic. I don't think they'll introduce the full Heroes cast, of course, because that's just going to be way too many characters to cram into either a 1 hour and 50-minute movie or a 2-hour movie. Either way, it's going to be too much character to introduce in that runtime. So I think we're just going to have Sonic, Tails, Knuckles, Amy, and maybe Shadow. I'm still considering it, but I think he will appear in the movie, but just not have a big of a role as in Sonic 3. And I'll get to why I think that later. For Jim Carrey, I do think he could return. He clearly enjoys making these. He wouldn't have made 3 if he didn't. But I think there is a way you could bring him back without cheapening that moment in Sonic 3. I think there is a way. I do think it's probable that Jim Carrey is going to come back for Sonic 4. I think what an interesting idea they could do for Jim Carrey is have him play, because if you remember in Heroes, Neo Metal Sonic, Eggman isn't the main villain of Heroes, it's Metal Sonic, but Metal Sonic disguises himself as Eggman. So I think that would be a very cool idea if you wanted to bring Jim Carrey back, or something like that. So, this is the plot what I think is going to happen in Sonic 4. Amy is going to find Sonic. You have these multiple Metal Sonics. I think the main one is the first Metal Sonic we see in that post-credit scene of Sonic 3. And I think he will eventually turn into Neo Metal Sonic from Sonic Heroes at the end. And I think that'll be the final battle for this film. And I do think Shadow will appear in this film. But I do think he'll not have as big of a role as Amy or Metal Sonic or any of these characters. And the reason I think this is because of the Sonic Event film. Now, time to segue into the next project. So, the Sonic Event film for 2020. If you don't know, last year Paramount announced a new Sonic Event film that's supposed to release on 2028, completely separate from Sonic 4. Now, there's a lot of mystery going around about this film because we don't know a lot about it. The things that we do know is that this film is supposed to release on December 22, 2028. And as you can see right here, that it is confirmed to be a spin-off film, meaning it cannot be a Sonic 5. So that leaves us with the most likely option, that it's a Shadow the Hedgehog spin-off. And I do think this film will be adapting the Shadow the Hedgehog game that came out in 2005. And we already have hints to this in Sonic 3. If you noticed, we see in Sonic 3 that Shadow arrives to Earth in a comet that looks very familiar to the black comet that we see in Shadow 05. So, based on that, this is what I think is going to happen for this film. Now, what I think is going to happen in this film is Shadow is going to discover he was sent here by Black Doom to conquer Earth. But when Shadow's comet crashed on Earth, he got amnesia, making him forget his previous mission. I think this would be an interesting way to kind of loosely adapt the Shadow 05 plotline of him having amnesia without him forgetting the events of Sonic 3. And of course, I think the main villain is going to be Black Doom. But I do also think they can introduce some more Sonic characters in this film. So I think the most probable thing is that Rouge is introduced in this Shadow spin-off film. And maybe Omega, I see that a little less likely because of how many characters they're introducing per film. Like for the Sonic movies, like for Sonic 1, they introduced Sonic and Eggman. For Sonic 2, they introduced Tails and Knuckles. For Sonic 3, they introduced Gerald and Shadow. And for Sonic 4, they're introducing Metal Sonic and Amy. So I think it's a 50-50 if Omega appears in the film. But I do think at least Rouge is going to be in this Shadow spin-off film. And I think that's a great way to introduce her into the movie canon. I even think one of the post-credit scenes for Sonic 4 could be about the Shadow the Hedgehog film. Now, after this, everything is up to speculation, because there is no other confirmed Sonic film after this event film. And I know there's some leaks with Daniel RPK, but I'm going to take that with a grain of salt, because I don't think Paramount has planned the next Sonic film after this event film. I just don't think so. I think they're waiting to see how good Sonic 4 will do. But I do think it will do very well, and I'm not sure, because again, this is all speculation, so we could get another trilogy, like a Sonic 5 and a Sonic 6. And if that happens, I wish to see Sonic 5 adapting Sonic Adventure. And I know you'd probably have to change Chaos's backstory, since the Chao already exists as mascots in the Sonic universe, but I think that's an easy change you could do. And I do think this would be a positive, because one of the complaints I've seen about the Sonic films is that Tails is very underutilized in those films. So I think a Sonic 5 adapting a Sonic Adventure film could adapt Tails' character arc from that game, giving him way more screen time. I could see them for Sonic 5 introducing Tikal and of course Chaos. And for Sonic 6, I can see them loosely adapting Sonic 06. Because Sonic 06 does have like the highest stakes out of all of the Sonic games, so I think that would be a perfect way to be a finale for the movies. And I think the characters you could introduce in a Sonic 6 would be Silver and Mephiles. But who knows what's gonna happen, because they could also continue making Sonic movies after this trilogy, or they could just stop at Sonic 5. This is all just speculation from me. I wouldn't mind if they did something different too. But that's my thoughts of what the future of the Sonic movies could be. And if you have predictions of what you want to see in the Sonic movies, I would love to hear it in the comments. And with that, I'll see you next time. Goodbye!